The views, information, and opinions expressed during the following program are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent the views of Access Communications, its representatives, or its employees.
Here we are at T&D Amisk Camp. Cindy, you're the co-owner of this place, are you not?
Yes.
Okay.
My husband Nick and I own T&D. We purchased it in September 2019.
Wow, so you haven't been there this long, and I remember I was there, I guess, the year after you bought it.
Yes, yeah. That was a pretty quiet summer. That was the first year of COVID, of course, and the business was primarily U.S. guests. And so that very first summer with COVID, the border was closed, and we had a pretty quiet camp when you were here last.
It just gave you time to nestle in, maybe, right?
Well, you know, we thoroughly enjoyed having this lakefront fishing property all to ourselves, but it feels a lot nicer to have guests here now, too.
Yeah. I'm glad, because when I drove in, I could see all kinds of action, and there was cars, and there was boats, and there was people milling about, and that's what you want, right?
Yes,
That's awesome. Now,
absolutely.
We should tell people that we're just outside of Diner Beach, and so what, we're 30 clicks away?
Yeah, 30 kilometers south of Diner Beach on Highway 167.
Yeah, so basically, as soon as you get in Diner, you go south.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
you turn south and it's a gravel road. It's a well-packed gravel road though, so it's in really good shape.
And we're going to show everybody why they should come out here, because, I mean, it's just, it's in the wilderness. It's beautiful. There's so much to do. You know,
Fishing is excellent.
Yes, it's, oh, look at that.
So we run a fun catch and release contest every season for guests to enter into if they would like. And it is catch and release if they catch a large fish. And currently for the season, we're at a 48-inch northern pike and a 30-inch walleye. And the season winner gets a custom wooden engraved photo frame with a photo of their fish, and they get to be commemorated for eternity on the plaque on the wall. Look
at that. And I must say, like, just coming into the office, it just has so much to offer. You know, it sets the tone.
Yeah.
And you know, and you do have supplies here. So, you know, basically people can get whatever they need here.
Yes.
You know,
yeah.
Do you also have a restaurant here, or do you serve food, or?
We don't know. The cabins are all self-contained, so they all have kitchens and they all have barbecues. So guests come prepared to cook all their meals, and that is part of the lure of the place, and part of the attraction too is that people can have their fish fry at night, they can have a barbecue, they can cook up their family recipes as all part of their group and events. So.
And how many cabins do you have? And I know there's different styles and different sizes, but how many do you have in general?
We have 10 cabins, and they do vary in size, right from suitable for 2 people all the way up to 10 people.
That's awesome.
So there's a good variety for groups of all sizes, as well as larger groups that have different configurations and they want to have multiple cabins.
And I noticed that, like, the minute I came in, I was talking to some people, and they were from North Dakota. And, you know, I was wondering, how do people from the States hear about this? And hopefully we can talk to 1 or 2 of them. But in the meantime, you tell us how did they come about to come here?
Well, there is a long history of this camp. It has actually been around. It was started in the mid-1950s. And so a lot of the groups are actually repeat long-term groups, and they come up with family and friends, and then they return the next year, and the groups sort of grow, as well as word of mouth when they're back at home. So that's a good part of it. We also have a website, we have a Facebook page, And so it's a little bit of advertising as well as word of mouth, and then repeat guests. So.
And I don't think that they could just say there's one thing they like about it. I think it's got to be the whole package, right?
It is. For a lot of people, it's the vast lake, the size of the lake. They can be out there on the lake and maybe see one boat, maybe two boats, or no boats all day. So there's no crowded waterways at all. And just the atmosphere in the camp, it's very relaxed, it's wildernessy, but they still have services. So
and
it is a combination.
This is a shot of the lake here. I can verify the last 3 or 4 years being on the lake that it is so big. It's misleading at first. You don't imagine it to be that big.
Yeah, it's true. Once people realize where the village de Nair Beach is, that's the very kind of the northeast side of the lake. And then to get to us, you follow that road all the way down, and then we are down at the south tip of the lake. So it is quite an expanse.
Okay, so on an average boat, I'm just generalizing, how long would it take to drive? And let's say going an average speed, not clipping it. How long would it take to get here by boat from de Nair Beach?
You're probably looking at about just under an hour.
Okay, that makes sense, because I can tell you just putting around up in this quadrant here, or what section, like just from one end to the next, and I'm not talking about this, it can take like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but we were going very slow, and there's lots of islands. It reminds me of Lake of the Woods.
Yes, yeah, there's a lot of islands and inlets to navigate, so you definitely do want to know where you're going if you're trying to navigate through the lake, for sure. But the fishing makes it worth it. That's what people come here for.
Right, and so if you're coming out from here, is there some sort of way that they can follow? Like, do you have guides that would come out with people, or do they pretty much have to know how to read a map?
We don't do any guiding service. What we do is people are familiar with fishing when they come down here, and they're familiar with navigating on a lake. Those are pretty important. And then we go through the lake map with guests when they arrive, and we explain where we are and give them some ideas of places to head for fishing, and point out the reefs and areas that they want to avoid. And that sets them up. Most people also fish with a lot of electronics nowadays, so they have GPS or various electrical programs, and that helps a lot. But you do have to have an idea of how to fish to start with.
No, that's good. That's good. I'm sure beginners are welcome, but it's up to them to make sure that they're educated and have the right supplies and everything.
Yeah.
Because this is a huge lake. I'm just warning you. It's beautiful, but and let's talk about, since we're talking about the lake, swimming obviously too, right?
Yes. Yeah. The lake is excellent swimming, so we do have a beach right off out front of the property here. We have kayaks, we have paddle boards, we have canoes for guests to use.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it's a nice little area to explore. Just out off the beach, there's some great limestone rock underneath the water surface, so it's really pretty to go and check out. There's a lot to sort of see just on a leisurely aspect as well.
Yeah, and that brings me to the history. I mean, this whole area is just rich in history.
Yeah.
And so I would advise anyone, if if this is their first trip out here or whatever, maybe stop off at the museum, see your dad.
Yes.
And he'll tell you all about it. And he's got some fascinating stories, including one that's just basically in walking distance where the river is, and there's like little mini rapids, I guess.
Yep.
And that was once, or in that area was once a town, was it a gold mine or a silver mine?
It was, so it's just across the river mouth, and it was Beaver City, and it was a gold rush community. So it was actually Saskatchewan's first and only gold rush community. And it was basically a resupply community. So that wasn't actually where people were mining for gold. The gold mine was up in the northwest channel, and Beaver City was right down here. But the reason it was located here is that people traveled up north and they came via this area.
Okay, so they could get there by land easier.
Yes, they got here
you.
by land, and then this was sort of a natural resupply and stopping point before they headed across this massive lake up to the gold mine. So it was a site where there was boarding houses, there was facilities for cooking and feeding up to 200 men at a time. There was a bannock house, there was a Royal Northwest Mounted Police Station, there was a fire tower and a ranger station, as well as a number of other entrepreneurial businesses. And they say at a time there was up to 1,000 people that were serviced and located at that community called Beaver City. So it was fairly substantial because this actually predates Flin Flon, Creighton, and Denair Beach.
Ooh, wow.
So
that's amazing. I can see that knowledge and historic facts around the family.
Very possibly.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, because you're a part of history now too. I mean, now that you've owned this, you've had this place for what, 3 years now?
Yeah, we're going into our third year anniversary here in September, and yeah, there is a load of history in the area, and definitely worth stocking up on all your knowledge of the historical events at the Northern Gateway Museum. We are also putting on once a week, we do a presentation here at the camp for guests. And so sometimes that involves a history presentation, such as about Beaver City. Sometimes it's a cultural presentation about birch bark biting, or other cultural presentations that get put on. So.
Wow. So there's so much to offer here, and so many things that people can come and take part in, and learn as well.
Yeah.
So people coming in the summer, what's your season? When do you start? When do you close?
We start at the end of May. And camp opens up, and we start taking bookings kind of the last week in May, and we run all the way through. The main fishing season bookings end the 1st of October, and that's really just because of weather. And so that's primarily our open water fishing season. We do operate year round, and we have ventured into ice fishing packages now as well. And we have 4-season cabins with 4-season facilities and ice fishing shack rentals in the winter. So we are open and operating year round, but your main open water fishing season is kind of that early June to October.
So what would you recommend to people that are thinking like, I'd like to go up there for a summer vacation, whether it's a few days or a week or whatever? What would you suggest that they book in advance for?
Definitely as far as possible. We are booked up usually till the first week of July, well in advance of a year. So we're looking kind of more July, and August is a great time to get in. We do have a wait list for kind of the month of June for people. But at this point, you do go on a wait list for that. And July and August is an excellent time to sort of come out and check the place out. And you can book we have week packages or 3-night minimum. And we also run cabin and boat packages. So you can come up and kind of get it all. And
wow. So you rent boats then too?
We do.
That's awesome.
Yeah, people are welcome to bring their own boats, or they can do a rental. Either way, we're fine with that. We have our own private inland marina, and then the month of September tends to pick up again and get fairly busy. Walleye fishing is quite well known up here in September, so that's another really good time to come for some fantastic walleye.
Oh, that's good to know, and I'm glad you guys are busy. That's fantastic. Why don't we go have a look around? I'm excited to see what you got.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, we're mobile. We can move right now.
All right.
Yeah, so let's just do a quick look around of here. And here, down here you got some antiques.
Yeah, some good northern Saskatchewan travel and trapping.
And now, Amisk Lake, I mean, that's what we were talking about before. So you call yourself Amisk. Is there a word, does it mean something in another language, the word Amisk?
It does, yes.
Okay, I knew you would know.
Amisk is the Cree word for beaver, which the lake is traditionally known as. It goes back a long ways that it was known as Beaver Lake, and it was officially renamed to Amisk Lake to acknowledge that history and culture. But most people still refer to it as Beaver Lake, and you even see it in things like Beaver City. That was
right, exactly.
Beaver for the Beaver Lake, but it's known by both locally as well as distance. But you will see it as Amisk Lake on the map.
Out in front of the office here, and not more than, a few steps away is the actual lake, and there it is in all its glory. Do all of these islands out there have names, or just a few?
They do all have names, and a lot of them have significant names from history on the lake or from people that were significant in the area, whether it be for the local Cree people or early prospectors, early business people in the area. And some of them have been renamed over the years as well. So when you look out, the ones that we see here.
What's the biggest, let's say the tallest one, and then there's the bigger one.
The tallest one is just called Storage Island, and I don't even know this history behind that one. But the longer one behind it is Newfoundland Island. And that one was just named because it represents a similar shape of Newfoundland. So that's sort of where that came from. And then beyond that, there's some islands as well as just points of land that you're seeing back there.
So sometimes if you're not going too far, those islands are excellent for landmarks to, keep your eye on, go past it, not too far. Yeah.
Yes, and they also give us a windbreak. So they act as a really good block because we are at the south end of the lake, and the wind does pick up a fair bit. So those act as really nice windbreaks and give people a place to fish out of the wind if it is a bit of a breezy day.
Oh, there's your sign. Got to get that in there too. Yes. And so those are the canoes there?
Those are some canoes as well. We have kayaks, we have paddle boards, we have a fire pit area for guests to enjoy.
Oh, that'd be nice, eh? Yeah,
chairs, we have a horseshoe pit and kind of a beach. And we have as well here, we have a built new filleting house and ice house. So we actually make ice for people to be able to pack their fish in, as well as take out on their boat and take their fish home with them in. And the fillet house has been very popular. So of course that's also the spot where all the fish tales are told.
Oh wow. Wow, it's almost spotless. Holy smokes. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, it's been a huge hit with guests.
That is fantastic. Yeah, no kidding. And it's all screened in, so you don't have to worry about the flies, right?
Yes.
Yes,
yeah,
that's perfect.
It provides some shade. And
so now this building, how old do you think this building? You probably know, never mind think.
You know, actually, this building, I'm not 100% sure. It does go back a ways. This building was actually the original ice house.
Okay.
And then there was an addition added onto it.
You can see the difference here in materials.
Yeah,
right?
and so by ice house, what that meant is power was put into this camp in 1995, I believe. Before that, there was a generator. But a big need in a fish camp is for ice to keep fish cold, as well as groceries. But people, when they bring their catch in, they're here for a few days or a week, and they need to keep that fish cold, and then they need to be able to keep it cold when they travel home. So ice is what's used for that. And there's quite a history on most lakes, but this lake in particular, for cutting ice in the spring, and that usually happens February, March. And there's ice cutting parties, and what they entail is a whole group of people get together, and they would come out and they would go just a ways out onto a lake, and they'd clear the snow away, and then large saws, sometimes circular or hand saws, were used to cut big blocks of ice. And then there's ice tongs that were used to grab that block of ice. They were put on sleds, and then they were brought back to a building, and this was it. And then the building inside usually had 2 walls, and the walls were packed with sawdust.
So that acted as insulation.
Yeah, and then if we walk around the other side, I
heard they could keep that ice like all summer.
Yeah, and it would stay all summer cold, and they would be packed, and then that is where people would keep their fish. And then if they needed some ice chips, maybe for a cold beverage, they would literally have an ice pick, and they would pick off chunks of ice.
Like
so yeah.
Slurpees.
And this is a sleigh used to haul those ice chunks.
That's awesome.
And
it's still here, right?
It is still here, yeah.
That is so cool. And while I'm here, I'll just take a shot of some of these cabins here. Those ones in the back, are those newer additions then?
No, they are actually, they're some of the older cabins, dating right back to the history of the beginning of the place. A couple of them are actually original mid-1950s. And they have had some renovations done to them, of course, and they're fairly comfortable to stay in. But that's why they're all varying sizes, was to accommodate different sizes of groups over time. And this is one of the larger ones right here that we have. And the cabins are fairly spacious, and they all have barbecues and lots of trees around the place.
Wow. That is beautiful. So, so in this particular neck of the woods, so to speak, what kind of animals are there that you could encounter on a walk?
It's possible to see black bears in the area here. They are fairly wild, so they're not habituated to people. So if you're being really quiet, you might see one, but if you're making any kind of noise, they're probably going to be gone long before you even know that they're around.
Right, it doesn't seem to be a problem up here as it is in more populated areas.
Yeah, so mainly bear, and you might see we have around here, we have a lot of otter, and we have a lot of mink and marten, and lots of water birds. And pelicans are fairly well known on the lake. So you'll see pelicans right out on the water, as well as on the Sturgeon Weir River. They congregate and they fish, because there's a really good supply of fish in this area.
Nice. One time I saw a lynx out here.
Yes.
But not here, but close to Denair Beach in the winter.
Yes, yes, we do get lynx. Again, when there's a lot of people around, you're not going to see them. But when it is quieter, such as in the winter, you will see them. We do also have wolves in the area, and again, same thing. They're not very common to see. You might hear them in the winter across the lake, kind of in the distance.
But they don't come down and...
No, no. It's nothing we have, we have issues with. It's also common to see bald eagles. Amisk Lake has quite a healthy population of bald eagles.
And here's the marina. Oh, this is great because it's sheltered, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And And even there's a break there, right, for waves and stuff.
Yeah, this is quite an attraction for guests because it is sheltered. Even in high winds, there isn't a concern about their boats being banged around, and it is a private sheltered marina as well. So guests will leave their boats in overnight, and they don't have to be concerned about their belongings, and then they're ready to go in the morning.
Right. We should also mention, like you said, not worried about leaving something out, because I mean, we are like 30 kilometers pretty much from any sort of civilization, and even Dinner Beach, you can leave stuff out there. So I wouldn't worry about it.
Yes. Yeah.
You come out here and relax. Now, we only have a minute left. So what would you like to tell people that, they're looking forward to coming here this summer, next summer, any summer? Fall, winter, and since you're open 24/7, just let us know what you'd like them to take away.
It's an excellent place to come for all sizes, whether it's just 2 people or a large group. We are very family friendly as well, so family fishing trips are a great option in the summer, and we do large groups, we do corporate groups. We really can cater to just about any sort of setup that you have in mind, and I work with guests to book them into their right cabin that'll suit them most appropriately, and I help with the planning process all along the way. So right from booking right through to the minute that you arrive, I'm there to help you out to make the process as easy as possible. So give us a call, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. And my other half, Nick, is in camp, and he's the hands-on one. So once you're here, he is more than happy to help out with any needs that people have as well.
Awesome. Thanks so much for showing us around and filling us in on some history, and all the best to you, and I hope to come back next year.
All right, thanks.
If you'd like to share your feedback on the program you just watched, contact us today